We're now entering the days of thunder. That's how insiders are describing the second Trump term. The greatest comeback in political history is just getting started. A little while ago, corporate America saw Trump as toxic, but now MAGA is the hottest brand in town. Just this week, Trump received the highest award a president can get, the first ever presidential commemorative can of Diet Coke. Get ready for McDonald's Big Mac and Chief. Companies want to be associated with Trump, and they want you to know it. The stigma of a Trump donation, which was out there to some degree 8 years ago, is no longer there. Who knows what's going to happen 2 months from now, but for today, up and down, corporate America is solidly pro-Trump. The biggest brands in America, look at these right here, each donated $1 million large. One lobbyist said everyone's trying to kiss the ring and curry favor. We're hopeful this new administration will be friendlier than the previous one. Trump's not running for re-election, so he can use the money for anything from his library to making sure Republicans keep the House. He could even use some of it to pay off Kamala's debt, if he's so inclined. One Trump advisor told Axios, the money is just pouring in at Mar-a-Lago. Trump doesn't have to lift a finger. Everyone's coming to him. Sure, Trump will cash the check, but that doesn't mean he owes you anything. The president was overheard telling an executive this, quote, you guys made this amount of money last year, and you're going to make so much more now because of me. But when I needed you, where the F were you? You weren't with me, and maybe you were with her. A big part of Trump's second term is making sure America's on the cutting edge. 5 tech titans are getting positions of honor on Trump's inauguration stage. Musk, Zuckerberg, Bezos, TikTok CEO, and the biggest name in AI, Sam Altman. One official said, I think the message it sends is, first, the importance of free speech, and then that these are all huge job creators in this country, and they're going to be a big part of where this president goes in the second term. These guys all used to be in Biden's corner. Now they're America's first.
4 years ago, the Democratic Party had the White House, it had the Senate, it had the House, it had the popular vote, and it had Silicon Valley on its side. Over the past 4 years, the Democratic Party has lost the House, lost the Senate, lost the White House, lost the popular vote, and now has lost Silicon Valley, which means the billionaires are on the other side of the table.
Biden's pretty bitter about the tech turncoats. Listen.
I want to warn the country of some things that give me great concern. This is a dangerous and that's a dangerous concentration of power in the hands of a very few ultra-wealthy people. And the dangerous consequences if their abuse of power is left unchecked. Today, an oligarchy is taking shape in America of extreme wealth, power, and influence that literally threatens our entire democracy.
The big guy has a point about how powerful big tech is. They crush their competition. They can censor speech and use their deep pockets and influence to sway elections. We can't blindly trust them because they can switch right back. But why would Biden wait until his farewell address to warn us about them? If Kamala won, he wouldn't have warned us about anything. Biden doesn't care about a tech oligarchy. He doesn't even know what it means. But he does understand revenge. Democrats had big tech in their pocket since the Obama years, using them to cancel Trump, deep six the laptop, and buy off the battlegrounds. You weren't even allowed to crack Fauci jokes on their platforms. But after Biden bombed at the debate and they cut off donations and opened the door for Pelosi to plunge the knife, are these guys loyal? Are they legit? Or do they just want to be in bed with the winning team? Musk has a little more street cred than the others because he stuck his neck out when there was risk. But I don't know about the rest of this crew. Maybe they're libertarians, maybe they're libs, maybe they're imperialists. What do I know? But I do know Biden wants blood. He's declaring a war on the tech industrial complex and using it as a rallying cry for the new resistance. He's telling his party to ditch DEI and wage class warfare against the tech giants.
I almost saw this speech as an attempt to wrestle back the mantle of populism from the Republicans. Donald Trump has run a populist campaign, and that's a lot. He's the outsider. And what Joe Biden last night did was quite interesting. Almost try to reclaim populism for the Democratic Party.
Spending a decade calling Trump Hitler blew up in the Democrats' faces. They lost their base, donors, and the plot.
The Democrats have come to the end of a 9-year messaging program during which they woke up every single day and told America and the world that Donald Trump was a bad guy because he's an authoritarian, he's a racist, he's a sexual predator, he's a fascist, he's all these horrible things that they say about him. And what was the end result? He won. He got elected to the presidency again. This has got to be regarded as the greatest communication failure in the history of world politics, a 9-year campaign that failed.
So Biden's trying to rebrand Democrats as a party for the people, but actions speak louder than words.
You got three people on top, Mr. Musk, Mr. Bezos, and Mr. Zuckerberg, who are now worth almost $1 trillion. Would you agree with President Biden, who last night stated, and I quote, "An oligarchy is taking shape in America of extreme wealth, power, and influence that threatens our entire democracy"?
The three billionaires who you listed that all made the money themselves. Mr. Musk came to the country as an immigrant.
Forget how they made their money. Do you think that when so few people have so much wealth and so much economic and political power, that that is an oligarchic form of society?
Well, I would note that President Biden gave the Presidential Medal of Freedom to two people who I think would qualify for his oligarchs.
Biden gave the Medal of Freedom to George Soros and Mike Bloomberg. He only likes the billionaires who work for him. And Democrats use mob rule to bully these CEOs to their side. If you said what Democrats didn't want to hear, you're canceled. Even if it's the truth, you're canceled. But that's over now. It's hot speech winter. CEOs can say what they want and support whoever they want without getting whacked. And they don't have to pretend to like DEI anymore. Look at these blue chip companies ditching DEI. A few years ago, if you didn't have a diversity officer or tampons in the men's room, your company would get boycotted. Now you get dinner with the president. And Trump's a talker.
He is world-class on real estate and on communications. And those are sort of his foundational skills. And those are, he's world-class on both, which is like probably the first person in the world to be world-class on both of those things, right? The real estate industry is not historically known for its great communicators. Here you've got somebody who does both of those things incredibly well.
47 speaks to something inside successful competitive men. They like what he does, and they like that he says what he wants. And they like his drive and his finesse when there's an obstacle. And when you see a man survive a gunshot and pop back up, that's respect. Men want to be around men like that. And now they're not intimidated by their HR departments. They're the boss. But at the end of the day, all these CEOs really care about is their bottom line. Banks are seeing big profits because companies are optimistic about the economy. CEOs all over the planet are looking to finance big-ticket investments here in America. That's good news for everyone. And for Trump to modernize the country and shred Biden's legacy, he's going to need corporate America on his side. If we're going to fight trade wars, we're going to have to reindustrialize. If we're going to capitalize on AI, we're going to need to produce much more energy here at home. And we're going to need young American workers to step up and fight for the American dream. So we're cautiously optimistic about big tech's newfound loyalty. They're saying all the right things, but it's early. These people might just go where the wind blows. And if they want our trust, they have to earn it. Because we can always bust up these big monopolies if they stomp all over our constitutional rights again.
And welcome to Hannity. And tonight, another round of confirmation hearings and another round of humiliation for Democrats. They're just making fools of themselves every day. Across town at the White House, even more public shame for Democrats after a mumbling, bumbling, delusional farewell address from Joe Biden that no one, I promise you, will ever remember. Our dear friend Stephen A. Smith called it sad, and apparently he now regrets voting for Kamala Harris. Why didn't he listen to me in the beginning? I'll ask him in just a moment. But let's be clear. Stephen A. is not the only Democratic voter with regrets. Joe Biden is leaving office with a record low approval rating. A vast majority of you, the American people, believe his presidency was a failure. It was. And today he needed a lot of help just walking into a room. It's sad. It's humiliating. What a terrible end to a terrible 4 years. And tragically, his biggest failure will likely be felt years to come as all of his unvetted illegal immigrants continue to commit murders and rapes and other violent crimes, and the known terrorists that he has allowed into our country continue to plot, plan, scheme, and attack on our homeland. I pray to God that this never happens, but it probably will. The odds are very high. And when it does, the blood will be on Joe's hands, Kamala's hands, Mayorkas' hands, and frankly, all of the other law enforcement that turned a blind eye not to enforce the law. And I'm not talking about rank and file members of law enforcement. And meanwhile, Trump has never been more popular. Recent Fox News poll showing a majority of Americans approving of Donald Trump's transition. And that's not all. Once scorned by much of the corporate world, well, business leaders are now lining up to meet with Donald Trump, donate big dollars to his inauguration. In fact, Donald Trump's inaugural committee is now breaking records with donations from almost every major company in the country. It's a new reality. Democrats, the media mob, they never saw this coming. Donald Trump, not Joe Biden, it's Donald Trump that is uniting the country. And needless to say, many on the left, they're not happy. This is their worst nightmare, becoming their reality. Apparently, 84-year-old, 20-term swamp monster Nancy Pelosi, she can't bear it. Oh, the vapors. Oh, she can't handle it. She's not going to be attending Trump's inauguration. I don't think anybody will care. Neither will Michelle Obama, according to reports. She has a very bad case of Trump derangement syndrome and is so filled with hate, she is refusing to go. Does anybody really care? I know I don't. The Trump team, they don't seem too bothered either. They are reportedly having a good laugh at her expense. And of course, no one is really surprised by Michelle Obama's behavior. According to Melania Trump, this is very revealing. The Obamas were not exactly helpful or courteous during the first transition to the White House in 2017. Watch this.
Behind the scenes, what is it like when you're moving back in the White House? What's different this time?
The difference is I know where I will be going. I know the rooms where we will be living. I know the process. The first time was challenging. We didn't have much of the information. The information was upheld for us from previous administration, but this time I have everything.
Wow. Now, make no mistake, we are witnessing history. This was a historic political victory, perhaps the biggest in the country's history, and only made possible. And we need to stop and pause and thank all of you, the American people. The cards, they were absolutely stacked against Donald Trump. He had the deep state against him, big tech, a weaponized DOJ, the media mob, academia, all the Democratic Party, all tried to destroy him. After 9 straight years of lying and slander and character assassination, he prevailed. And now Americans of all different backgrounds, they are waking up. They are realizing they have been lied to by Democrats. They have been lied to by the legacy media. They have been lied to by unelected bureaucrats, people that have abused power for years. Now, our friend Stephen A. Smith even admits he was misinformed about the 2024 election. Take a look at this.
And I did not vote for Donald Trump. Unlike people that suddenly turned around and kissing his ring and you know, trying to feign like they're suddenly a supporter of his. No, I did not vote for him, but I got to tell you something. I'm not mad he won. Let's call it what it is. There's a lot of people that won't admit this. I'm going to admit it. I was a bit misinformed. Let's call it what it is. And that pressure emanating from my community, I'm tired of it. I think that's one of the reasons you see me sounding. Patrick Bet-David alluded to that as well, talking about me. And they're right. They're right.
Well, Stephen A., in just a moment. Here's the truth. Kamala Harris might have been a better candidate than her mentally inept, cognitively declining boss, Joe Biden, but she would have been a terrible president. She's far more radical left than Joe. We pointed that out. Very few people wanted to report on it. The legacy media ignored it all. They were all in on all things Kamala Harris. They never vetted her. And that's why people don't trust them anymore. That's why she was a terrible vice president. That's why she was not a good border czar, a terrible senator, and frankly, not a good lawyer or prosecutor. And now, like so many other losers, you know, and far left lawyers, she's reportedly planning a New York city lifestyle and cashing in on a book deal that probably few people will be interested in and likely to purchase. But according to, well, the ever-giggling vice president, she is refusing to go quietly into the night. I would advise her to reconsider. Take a look.
As you all have heard me say many times, I am fully aware that I am the public face of a lot of our work. And so I have the benefit of running into people all over our country who thank me. And I will tell you, I am fully aware that when they are thanking me, they are thanking our team, and our work is not done. And as you all know me, because we have spent long hours, long days, and months and years together, it is not my nature to go quietly into the night. So don't worry about that.
She's going to move back to the community where she will live, in a community of people that share a community for the community's sake. Despite all these words about herself, it is safe to say Kamala Harris's political career is over, although I will say this, she has a very good chance of being California's next governor. She fit right in California. Now, we just hope she can be unburdened by what has been.
So yesterday was an ugly day in D.C., and if there was ever a Beauty and the Beast moment in the halls of Congress, Pam Bondi's confirmation hearing was it. Bondi, hold on, stop it. Bondi, Donald Trump's nominee for AG, found herself facing the swamp's resident bug-eyed monster. Have a look if you dare.
Are you aware of any factual basis to investigate Liz Cheney? Yes or no?
Senator, that's a hypothetical, and I'm not going to answer that.
I'm
also worried about Liz Cheney,
the
Senator.
President has
you know
called
what we
for
should
this.
be worried about?
Ms. Bondi,
the
please
crime rate
answer
in
my
California
questions.
right now
You are
is
aware,
through the roof. Senator, what I can tell you is I will never play politics. You're trying to engage me in a gotcha. I
No,
won't
I'm just
do it.
asking you a simple
I
question.
won't play
If you can
politics
speak truth
with any ongoing
to power.
investigation,
So let me ask you another.
like you did leaking your colleague Devin Nunes's memo.
If
And I'm
hundreds
not
of
going to
cases on the first
mislead
day?
this body nor you. You were censured by Congress, Senator, for comments just like this that are so reckless.
Well, that was useful. But Adam's got a face only a mother could love. Norman Bates's mother. Because not only is this guy a lying bozo, he's also weird looking. But aren't they all? The Dems are the homeliest bunch since Kiss decided to take off their makeup. Now consider the people they attack. When you look at Bondi, Hegseth, Kristi Noem, RFK, Michael Kratzios, Scott Turner, even John Radcliffe, 3 words come to mind: va, va, voom. Kelly Loeffler is a walking advertisement for Herbal Essence. Sean Duffy, you don't have 9 kids by being a 4. And it wasn't climate change that was making Chris Wright's protesters hot, no siree. And when you hear women yelling Marco at the pool, it's not polo they're after. Tulsi hasn't even shown up yet, am I right? Woo! Then there's Doug Burgum, whose brooding sexiness is bringing Count Chocula back to the supermarkets. And what of Stephen Miller, huh? I know. How is he hot? Well, check out his wife. Huh? See, he benefits from secondhand hotness. He just went from a 3 to a 6. By comparison, the Dems seem like a parade of slovenly before pictures. I mean, even the guy grilling Hegseth about drinking, he looked like, look at him. I mean, he looks like he just got into a boozy fight with a leaf blower. But if you hung out with Bill Clinton for 30 years, you'd look like that too. So why the difference? Well, the mind and body are one thing. How many of us feel crappy mentally when we treat our bodies poorly? When we don't work out, or we eat bad food, or we take a pill handed to you by Larry Kudlow outside a Tijuana brothel? And conversely, how many of us feel physically sick when we treat our minds badly, filling it with defeatist beliefs, victim mentality, or one of Jesse's books? You cannot embrace victimhood and still look hot. I mean, imagine me whining with this jawline. But if your soul is rotten, your teeth will follow. Truth is, conservatives think there are things worth protecting, and that starts with taking care of how they look and feel. But leftism is about denigrating standards so that we're all one big blob of steaming hippo. And so we get plus-size cover girls, prom queens with beards, and paintings that look like my bathroom wall the last time I ate Taco Bell. In fact, ugly is rewarded by Democrats who view sex appeal as hot privilege. Take San Diego State University, where students are told that fat phobia is rooted in racism, misogyny, homophobia, and other oppression, and calls on students to champion fat bodies. Yeah, right, because it's the bigots who are forcing the oppressed to deep-throat a ding-dong. Is that possible? The Post urges students to read books by fat liberationists. And what are those books? For Whom the Dinner Bell Tolls? The Great Fatsby? The Count of Monte Cristo? The Lord of the Onion Rings? You know, I'll wait for the movie. There's probably a love scene at Golden Corral. So listen, San Diego, if you're fat and queer, or fat whatever, you'll feel a hell of a lot better if you work on what God gave you, a body, which includes your mind. Hell, have even more pride parades, but walk it this time instead of being the float. And I get it. It's harder to be fit, so labeling anyone a bigot means you don't have to work out. Hell, it worked for this sack of donuts. But it's not about weight. It's the victim mindset. You lose that and the pounds come off. That's a message those San Diego students never hear. Instead, the left limits your aspirations by putting you in the boxes of race, gender, and sexual orientation. It's why your once cute niece came home at Christmas break with a shaved head and hairy pits. Her fresh-faced beauty had to be ruined, for it's a reminder of patriarchal aspirations. So I'm not saying all Democrats are unattractive. Some of their women are attractive, even the ones with dick. But the truth is, being ugly inside can make you ugly outside. And when you compare the parties, just no contest. Kristi Noem compared to Alejandro Mayorkas. I mean, let's just say shooting a dog in the head wouldn't be a deal breaker. And I have to repeat two words: Pete Hegseth. He's like Brad Pitt with more kids. Now, who in D.C. is going to look better than that guy? Obviously no one, since I called off my Senate run. Let's welcome tonight's guest. She used to be an attorney, now she puts liberals on a gurney. Goes about Emily Cavano. He's so funny, the audience forgets to laugh. Comedian Dave Landau. She can't wait to deliver her baby so she can go back to eating mercury. New York Times bestselling author, Fox News contributor, Cat 2. And he describes the Grand Canyon as the okay canyon. New York Times bestselling author, comedian, and former NWA world champion Tyrus. Emily, are you a Republican because you're beautiful, or are you beautiful because you're Republican? Like, I could never see you as a leftist. You're too hot to be a leftist.
I'm waiting for you to make a terrible comment about me after that, because you never say something like that. You're never.
I was going to bring up the fact that you're not wearing pants, but the audience can see that.
So. Subway. I loved what you said about the whole point is that, you know, when you are corroded on the inside, then it shows up on the outside. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think truly there are a few ugly people I've seen in my life, and it was because of the inside. Mm-hmm. And it is shocking to me how that party writ large has the horrors of our present day written all over those outside packages. By the way, San Diego State. Yeah. When I was 16 years old, I forged my birth certificate at a local Kinko's and hopped along with a certain fraternity there at San Diego State, and we all crossed the border down to Mexico, where we spent a spring break there in Mexico partying like it was 1999, which was a couple years before that, and it was literally the best, most amazing party ever. Thank you, Mexico. Thank you, San Diego State. Thank you, that fraternity. And the point is how quickly it changes. How quickly the infection and the victim mindset and the the tumor that is that narrative rotted the brains there. And now I don't recognize San Diego State. That's what your college year should be for, right? What education, like true education. And now it's unrecognizable, like that whole party, because they are vessels of tar.
You know, that's what college should be. Partying with a 16-year-old Emily Campagno in Mexico.
That's right.
What could go wrong? What could go wrong?
What could go
wrong? I didn't know she was 16. Dave, you seem like the picture of health.
Yes, that's right. Let's talk about eating healthy and not being dead inside.
Comedians, they can't, it's like, it goes against brand to be fit, except you're seeing it with the Rogan contingent, all these guys lifting weights. I don't like comedians, though, to be muscular.
No, I like them to look just like this.
Yes.
Short and obese, as my doctor calls it.
Don't you hate that?
Yeah. Yeah, they're like, you're pre-diabetic. It's like, so I'm not.
You should say it like you're pre-approved.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, you're going well. I feel like I look better than half of the other side, though. Yeah. When you look at the left, like Adam Schiff, I mean, Trump took a bullet for this country. Schiff looks like he's always sitting on a vibrating one. Too much?
No, not enough.
Okay. Well, and Kane looks like a mad scientist that moonlights in a Neil Diamond cover band.
Yes.
It's just a creep.
Yeah. No, there's something wrong with him, and I don't know what it is.
It's something.
And Rob Wyden, I mean, some of these, I don't know, maybe there's something wrong with them, so I don't want to make fun of them. I'll just do that in the break. Kat, I know this is an incredibly shallow segment, but I embrace shallowness. And let's be honest, we've talked about this. We are bigoted against certain types of people, aren't we, Kat?
Yeah, except now I'm super fat and I'm still hot.
Yeah. You know, I'm going to compliment you here. In the 1970s, well before the internet, you could buy Hot and Pregnant magazine, right? It was always behind the counter at 7-Eleven.
Don't I know it?
Oh, wow.
Is that real?
Well, you would be on the cover. Hot and pregnant.
I would hope her career choices would say no.
I don't know. It honestly, I mean, okay, the idea that there's no hot liberal, I mean, the Hollywood is full of hot liberal people. Mm-hmm. Also, to me, I often think ugly people are hot because they're more interesting to look at. Mm-hmm. Like if you got like some up teeth or something, that's hot to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it took me a while actually to be attracted to my husband just because his teeth are too nice.
I remember you
I'm like, not one missing?
You were trying to get him to do meth. So
I was like, I was hiding his toothbrush for years. No, I mean, it's true because I think hot is subjective. And my friends are always like, Kat, you just don't know how to tell if people are hot or not. And they may have a point. Mm-hmm. But I think also, I mean, obviously people a lot of times are they're miserable and they take it out on other people. And if you're ugly, sometimes you're more miserable. You just have to realize you're not ugly. You just haven't found the right weirdo yet.
That is true.
Because if you have confidence, it's hot.
Yeah, everybody, if you can find somebody who doesn't care what they look like, but, you know, takes care of themselves. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That is the key, Tyrus. Tyrus, you've always been interested in fitness. Isn't it about, you can see somebody who's got a system for fitness and assume from that they probably have a system for other things?
Well, it depends. If they're obsessed, then all they worry about is fitness, and then when you talk to them, you say they need to get back to the gym because that's the only place you got to have balance. Mm-hmm. You got to be able to go both ways. And one of the things that we saw from Shift was balance because he was trying to find a way to ask, are you going to investigate me?
Yeah.
Like that's all that was about. I'd like to ask a couple questions. So you're just going to have a blanket pardon for everybody that we went after, but like, are you going to go after Cheney? And if she said, yeah, then the next question would have been like, but I just wrote it. I didn't, because you remember he writes movie scripts.
Yeah.
And it's not, and they had a movie director do the 6, and now we're finding about all these little FBI agents that were running around. So Schiff was trying to ask questions that every criminal, it's like, you know, your wife knows what you did. You can't come out and say, honey, that underwear is mine. You have to say, did you find anything unusual this week, dear? She's like, yes, zucchini was up 6 cents in the market. Okay, that's great. No, was there anything in the house particularly off? Yeah, the light was off in the other room. Are you sure there's nothing? Because he doesn't want to admit what he knows is coming. He was trying to get her in a situation where he could say, see, she's coming after us. She's waiting, because she kept saying a very interesting thing. She says, I have staff, so we'll go through 100 cases, and we'll look at the ongoing investigation. And that's what made Schiff very unhappy, because his ass is all caught up in the ongoing investigation.
And might I add, a flat ass.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.